Here's your wrestling news for March 1st, 2021. And your headlines for today include: former WWE superstar Big Cass comments on his return to the ring. WWE could be planning big post-WrestleMania match for Cesaro. Jim Crockett Jr. hospitalized and not doing well. Former WWE Tag Team Champion passed away. Why Tony Khan came out apologizing to everyone. WWE hired a fake Bray Wyatt we didn't know. Murphy drops interesting tweet after vanishing from WWE television. The Miz fires back at haters with new WWE t-shirt. Vince McMahon's an asshole. WWE Hall of Famer shoots over questionable storyline. Big match set for AEW. MJF mocked a wheelchair-bound fan. Big E sets a new record, Christian's physical transformation, and more. We are starting today with former WWE superstar Big Cass, who returned to the ring at the Lariato Pro Wrestling event last weekend. An event promoted by one half of the Impact Tag Team Champions, Doc Gallows, Cass appeared alongside Hernandez to save his former tag team partner Enzo Amore from a beatdown. In addition to being away from the ring, Cass has been away from social media since September 2019, but broke his silence to comment on his return, saying, "After a long journey filled with an enormous amount of self-reflection, I now start my journey towards redemption. Thank you at the Big LG for the opportunity, and thank you to everyone for continuing to believe in me, praying hands emoji, hashtag straight out of step 12. Cass has faced several obstacles throughout his career, including being fired from WWE for going off script, making headlines in September 2019 for confronting wrestlers backstage, where he confronted Joey Janela and Pat Buck at a WrestlePro event. Fortunately, Cass seems to be in a better place now, and we're hoping for the best for the former superstar. But what do you think he should do next? Do you think he should go to WWE or AEW? Let us know in the comments. SmackDown next, and it doesn't look like Cesaro will be getting a Universal title match at Fastlane as fans expected, but this isn't the end of his ongoing push. That's according to Dave Meltzer, who spoke on Wrestling Observer Radio and said that WWE may be saving any big plans for Cesaro until after WrestleMania. Though fans may be impatient, especially after calling for a Cesaro world title run for years, this is probably the best outcome for Cesaro, as if he challenged for the Universal title before April, he'd likely lose. Challenging for the Universal title after WrestleMania 37 greatly increases the odds of the Swiss Cyborg becoming champion, but whether WWE will ever push Cesaro to the top remains to be seen. We've got some sad news as Jim Crockett Jr. has been hospitalized and is reportedly not doing well. This was confirmed by a report from the official Facebook page for Crockett Sports Promotions, which is managed by the Crockett family. The longtime wrestling promoter is perhaps best known for owning Jim Crockett Promotions, which was instrumental in the NWA, and was later bought by Ted Turner and renamed WCW in 1988. Crockett remained on as WCW president until 1991, and we're sending our best wishes to the entire Crockett family at this time. We've got more sad news as former WWF star Dean Ho has died aged 80. The news was broken by former WWE ref Kevin Jeffries, who said Ho died due to CTE from his days of playing football. Becoming a WWF Tag Team Champion in 1973 with Tony Garea, Ho retired from the ring a decade later, and we're sending our condolences to his friends and family. Last night, AEW aired their Women's Eliminator Tournament as well as a 6-woman tag match on Bleacher Report, but the show didn't go according to plan. Despite what was promised by the company, many international fans had issues accessing the stream, and on Twitter, Tony Khan apologized for these problems. Khan also made things easier for everyone by putting the matches up for free on YouTube, and we're sure the company will think carefully the next time they plan on streaming a show online. With his supernatural powers, Bray Wyatt can seemingly appear anywhere he wants, but that's not always the case. While speaking to Fightful, ROH star the Beer City Bruiser revealed that he was once called in to play Bray Wyatt during a 2018 WWE segment, which was part of a feud between Wyatt and Roman Reigns. It was also confirmed at the time ROH offered Bruiser a new contract, which he accepted, though he remains on good terms with WWE, who asked him to keep the line of communication open. Perhaps one day Bruiser will return to WWE, as with his similar build and Wyatt being a much more supernatural character now thanks to The Fiend, there's plenty of possibilities where the WWE could have the former Universal Champion in two places at once. Back to the present, and Murphy hasn't wrestled in over 3 months, and though he isn't there, his tweets have fans talking. Around the Elimination Chamber event, Murphy took a dig at WWE for having a chamber match of only former world champions rather than younger stars, and yesterday, he shared a photo of his time alongside Seth Rollins. Murphy's alliance and subsequent feud with Rollins was the last thing he did on WWE TV before disappearing, and him looking back at a time when he was relevant on TV makes for a very interesting tweet. On Raw tonight, WWE Champion The Miz will defend his title against Bobby Lashley, and the A-lister will have a brand new shirt to mark the occasion. It's no secret that fans weren't happy to see The Miz cash in at Elimination Chamber 2021, but The Miz welcomes all the hate with his new shirt. The design has a picture of Miz holding the WWE Championship with the caption, "Hated daily and loving it." On Twitter, the champion said this shirt is for the haters, and what do you make of this shirt? Will you be buying it from WWE Shop? Sound off below. Over the years, Vince McMahon has done some pretty tasteless storylines, from Katie Vick of 2002 to the Eddie-sploitation in 2006. One man who knows all about bad stories is Jake Roberts, who was in a storyline with Jerry Lawler in 1996, which focused about Jake's past addictions to alcohol. This culminated in a SummerSlam match where Lawler poured Jim Beam on Roberts before the Snake Man was saved by Mark Henry. Speaking this week to Inside the Ropes, Roberts said it was a cheap, disrespectful storyline for McMahon and proved nothing other than that Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler are both, quote, "tolls." What makes things sadder is that Roberts would fall off the wagon several times in the years after this match, and given that WWE continues to use Jeff Hardy's past issues with substances, the company evidently hasn't learned its lesson. Despite being a former NXT, Intercontinental, and United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't reached the heights some expected of him on the main roster, and it looks like the King of Strong Style is pretty fed up with the company. When one fan commented on a recent Instagram post telling Nakamura to leave WWE, another fan replied saying Nakamura is happy, as in WWE, he works a safer style and gets time to surf. This defense wasn't appreciated by the SmackDown superstar, who fired back saying, "Who said I'm happy? Don't believe anything other than what I said." This isn't the first time that Nakamura has reportedly been unhappy in WWE, as in 2019, Dave Meltzer reported that Nakamura was essentially collecting a paycheck and was only staying in WWE as his family loved Florida. We'll have to see what Nakamura does next in his career, as his tons of talent have often gone underused, and this could make for a very interesting discussion the next time his contract comes up for negotiation. We've already reported that WWE isn't planning on using Cesaro in the main event just yet, but they may just push Aiden English instead, as the former WWE superstar was recently mistaken for the Swiss Cyborg. Online, English shared a screenshot of a DM from a fan asking if he's Cesaro, and after hours of investigative journalism, we can conclude that Aiden English is in fact not Cesaro. English, who was released from WWE last year, said that this will be his legacy in wrestling, though he received support, with both Cash Wheeler and Enzo Amore saying it won't be. We'll have to see what English does next, but as a theatrical man, he could always get work as Cesaro's stunt double. AEW news next, as a big match will take place later today. In the climax of the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament, Nyla Rose will face Thunder Rosa on YouTube, and the winner will face Women's Champion Hikaru Shida in a title match at Revolution. Rose vs. Rosa is just the start of a big week for AEW, as this Wednesday's Dynamite will see Paul White's debut, as well as Shaq's in-ring debut when he teams with Jade Cargill to face Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet before the Revolution pay-per-view and its exploding barbed wire deathmatch main event this Sunday. As a former WWE, ECW Intercontinental Hardcore and Tag Team Champion, Rob Van Dam has had a Hall of Fame-worthy career, and the question of him being inducted isn't a question of if, but when. Recently, the Whole Damn Show spoke on the 90s Wrestling podcast and discussed who would do the honors of inducting him when his name is finally called on. He said, "Kinda has to be Paul Heyman, doesn't it? I think it has to be Paul. Sabu doesn't talk very good. On the real, Paul is the only producer/agent that's ever had my best interests at heart and understood me. With a lengthy career of his own, there's no shortage of people Heyman could induct into the Hall of Fame, and whilst RVD hasn't received the nod just yet, him being part of the new WWE Icons docuseries could be the first step towards a Hall of Fame induction. AEW now, and MJF remains one of the best heels in the world today, and that's thanks to him never breaking character in or out of the ring. That's gotten him in trouble before, such as when he was accused of going too far at StarCast 3, when he picked on a wheelchair-using fan. Speaking on his podcast, Arn Anderson recalled his reaction to the MJF incident at StarCast, saying, "I was sitting in the same room you were at your event at StarCast. Tully and I had just come back from the stage, and he was next, MJF was next. And I'd never seen him, and he started taking questions, and I saw him easing up to the edge, and swoosh, I'll never forget it. When the kid rolled up there to the podium in the wheelchair and he said to MJF, 'How are you doing?' And he looked at him and went, 'Better than you.' I swallowed my teeth. This is a kid in a wheelchair. And woo, I think that says everything that you need to say." MJF and Chris Jericho are set to challenge for the AEW Tag Team titles this Sunday at Revolution. But what do you think of MJF? Did he go too far at StarCast 3? Let us know below. Big E news next, as a new WWE 24 special is now available on the WWE Network, which includes an incredible show of strength by the reigning Intercontinental Champion. One piece of footage shows Big E from his FCW days setting a bench press record at John Cena's gym alongside Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. In a snippet uploaded to YouTube, fans can see Big E performing a 575-pound raw bench lift, which Cena himself explained puts Big E in a very elite class of people around the world. The footage from 2011 was filmed as part of Cena's training for his WrestleMania 28 match with The Rock, and Cena promised that if Big E made the lift, it'd be included in the documentary about their match. Though Cena went on to lose the WrestleMania match to the Brahma Bull, he did get his win back a year later, whilst Big E's record at Cena's gym still stands to this day. Speaking of impressive physiques, Christian returned at the 2021 Royal Rumble, and the 47-year-old former world champion looked in great shape. That's partly thanks to Nutrition Solutions, who have shared two selfies of Christian, one from August 2020 and another from this past January. Fans can see Christian's incredible transformation in the two photos, and may remember the name Nutrition Solutions for their work with fellow former world champion Jinder Mahal. Entering the Royal Rumble match at number 24 and lasting over 18 minutes, Christian is reportedly expected to work a part-time schedule this year. And with such an improved physique, don't be surprised if Christian enters the title picture 9 years after he last held gold. And we're ending today with Jason Jordan, who, after suffering a series of injuries in 2018 that led to him being pulled from in-ring competition, the former tag team champion hasn't wrestled again in the 3 years since. The first person to ever be NXT, SmackDown, and Raw tag team champion, Jordan was revealed as Kurt Angle's illegitimate son not long before his injury, and there were big plans for him. Speaking on his podcast, Angle revealed what WWE had in store for Jordan before his injury, saying, "I was excited about it because Jason was improving. He was on his way to main event status until he hurt his neck. That's when the program ended. I was stuck high and dry without a partner for the next WrestleMania because that's who I was going to wrestle was Jason." Instead of facing Jordan, Angle faced Baron Corbin in what was billed as his farewell match, which Angle lost. Kurt also said that he's not sure why WWE chose Jordan to be his kayfabe son over Chad Gable, saying it may have been a politically correct move, and Jordan's main roster career and main event run remains one of WWE's biggest what-ifs in recent memory. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.